Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.0. Prepare for launch.
OTC is go.
Packetbus is go.
PTC is go.
LPS is go.
Houston flight is go.
Pilot go.
STM is go.
Safety comms is go.
SPE is go.
LRD is go. SRO is go.
CDR is go.
Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
99, proceeded, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
Consequences so severe, so pull your trigger quickly, dear. Our patriots are acting up, let's punish them with fear. Hey, hey!
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, and you can find this show at fppradio.com. That's not the only thing you'll find over there at fppradio.com. I do a 7-day-per-week newscast. There's only been a handful of days over the last couple of years where there has not been a newscast. And for those days, I am entirely, upset about the fact that I did not have a newscast because I pride myself on my work ethic. I pride myself on doing what I say I'm going to do. And one thing that I say that I'm going to do is this show, and I am doing this show. And we recently, about 23 episodes ago, I believe it was, launched version 4.0 of the show to where I'm helping you become a better version of you as I become a better version of me. And I sort of started this, whole transformation sort of thing a little over a year ago, was March of last year, where I decided that I was going to get back in shape, I was going to lose weight, and I did. And then I decided for some weird reason that I was going to do a triathlon, and I did one last summer. And after it was over, I told the organizer of the triathlon, I said, Robin, if I ever say anything so dumb as I think I'm going to do a triathlon, please slap me. You have my permission to slap me. And her response was, I'm not going to do that. You'll do it again. And I said, yeah, right. And then in January of this year, after I had lost about 130 pounds, I believe it was, from March of last year, I get an email from the organizer of the Give Peace a Try triathlon. And in this email is the registration form. And I looked at it and I marked it as unread, as I will do from time to time with emails that I don't necessarily want to delete, but I might go back to and look at a later time. And it's there, it's something that I know is there, and that I know, oh yeah, there's this thing that I need to deal with. And so I marked it as unread. And a couple days later, I went back and I looked at it. And then I printed off the form. And then I filled out the form. And then I wrote a check for, I think it was $45. And I dropped it in the mail. And then I sent Robin an email and said, Robin, I guess you get to slap me because I just sent off my registration form and my check. And I'm doing the triathlon. And she responded with something along the lines of, yeah, I knew you'd do it again. So, I have not been in the water since last summer, and hopefully that will change. I initially thought I was going to have a swim practice yesterday, where there's a group of people at the gym that I go to that we're all going to be participating in the triathlon together. And there was supposed to have been a swim training yesterday, but it wound up being canceled because of weather and some other reason. So hopefully I wind up getting in the water before July 16th, because the swim part was absolutely the worst for me, because I was so concerned about my knees holding up through the biking and the running that I would just, practice biking on the recumbent bike or one of the stationary bikes at the gym. And I would do 10, 15 miles. And, so it felt good about that. And totally forgot about practicing the swimming. Well, this year, I'm doing the whole 9 yards, practicing the biking, the running. Ran 3 miles yesterday, and I have to say my quads are absolutely killing me. Hopefully they feel better before I go do 20-plus miles on the stationary bike at the gym tomorrow. So there is that. But again, I mention all of that because I pride myself on being productive and doing what I say I'm going to do. And you may recall that there is a super secret project that I was hinting at on Facebook, saying, on social media, hey, sign up for the email list. I've got a super secret project that I'm going to be announcing. Well, I announced that super secret project yesterday, and I will now, if you missed the email, if you missed the post on social media, I will tell you what it is. I, Darryl W. Perry, am becoming a lobbyist. Like an actual certified, I will be sending off the registration form to the Secretary of State lobbyist. I will be wearing an orange badge when I go testify to state reps, lobbyist. And, lobbyists wind up getting a bad rap a lot of times. But lobbyists are effective because, they wound up, or, they talk to legislators a lot. And they get things done. And part of that is because they have the means to spend a lot of time at the legislature. And there are certain groups of people that are poorly underrepresented, either poorly represented or just completely underrepresented in most legislative situations. And a lot of times that's people that advocate for maximum human freedom. That's why I have set up Liberty Lobby LLC. You can go to libertylobby.xyz. And somebody said, why'd you use that? And I said, well, because when I went to register the domain, libertylobby.com was for sale at $1,200. And sorry, I'm not, spending $1,200 just for a domain name. libertylobby.xyz. Read about why I'm becoming a lobbyist, why I want to be your lobbyist, because most people think I can't afford a lobbyist. Yeah, you can. $5, you've got $5. For $5, I will be your lobbyist for freedom. libertylobby.xyz. We'll jump into version 4.0 next.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Hi, I'm Nick Hazelton from the Anarcho-Yakutalism podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
So before jumping into version 4.0, I've got a question for you. Yeah, I've got a question for you. Are you fed up with the government running every aspect of your life? You are? Good. Follow up. Are you listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet? You're not? Then what is wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen. Or you can just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. So I have created a new venture where I will, I intend to be very productive at what I'm doing with Liberty Lobby LLC. And a lot of it is just going to be me trying to get a little bit of financial remuneration or remuneration. I'm not sure the exact pronunciation, but you know what I'm trying to say. Get, a little bit of money to offset the cost of gas, the cost of me buying lunch for myself, the financial hit that I take from taking a day off work to go to Concord to testify in favor of maximum human freedom. So, libertylobby.xyz is the website. Liberty Lobby LLC is the name. And again, I intend to be very productive, and I already have been productive and very hardworking as sort of a, unpaid citizen lobbyist, if you will. And, well, I've got an article here about 6 subtle things that highly productive people do every day. And again, as with all of the things where it's, here's a list of things that, fill-in-the-blank group does, or here's things that fill-in-the-blank group doesn't do. This is not meant to be a definitive list. It's not meant to be a thing of, if you do these, then all of a sudden you will be successful at whatever you do. If you do X, all of a sudden you'll have lots of money. If you do Y, you'll be a millionaire in a week. It's not meant to necessarily be that, but it is meant to sort of be, here's best practices. And I'm a really big fan of best practices because then it means that you get to learn from other people's mistakes. So the article comes from businessinsider.com, and they start off with a couple of questions. Do you ever feel like you're just not getting enough done? Know how many days a week you're actually productive? About 3. People work an average of 45 hours a week. They consider about 17 of those hours to be non-productive. In the U.S., 45 hours a week, 16 hours are considered unproductive. We could all be accomplishing a lot more, but then again, none of us wants to be a workaholic either. It would be great to get tons done and have a work-life balance, but how do we do that? I decided to get some answers, that being the author of this article. And who better to ask than Tim Ferriss, the author of the international bestseller, The 4-Hour Workweek. And then they link over to a blog and a podcast from Tim Ferriss. Below are 6 tips that Tim offered, the science behind why they work, and insight from the most productive people around. Number 1, the most important, as number 1 should be, manage your mood. Most productivity systems act like we're robots. They forget the enormous power of feelings. If you start the day calm, it's easy to get the right things done and focus. But when we wake up and the fray is already upon us, phone ringing, emails coming in, fire alarms going off, etc., you spend the whole day reacting. This means you're not in the driver's seat working on your priorities. You're responding to what gets thrown at you, whether it's important or not. Here's Tim. I try to have the first 80 to 90 minutes of my workday vary as little as possible. I think that a routine is necessary to feel in control and non-reactive, which reduces anxiety. It therefore makes you more productive. Research shows how you start the day has an enormous effect on productivity, and you procrastinate more when you're in a bad mood. Studies demonstrate happiness increases productivity and makes you more successful. So, since the first thing here, basically he says manage your mood and have the first hour to hour and a half of your day vary as little as possible. So have a routine. Here's my morning routine, and it varies as little as possible when I'm not traveling. And there are times such as, now that I'm training for a triathlon, on Saturdays I have, triathlon training where I go ride a stationary bike for an hour at the gym. So Saturdays are going to be a little different, but most days I'll wake up. I try to wake up around 8 o'clock, but sometimes I'll wake up at 6 because the way my brain works, sometimes I'll wake up when that first alarm goes off. Other times I don't wake up until the 8th alarm goes off. But sometime between 6 and 8, I'll wake up. And generally, and I know this is bad, it's a very bad habit, but I'll lay in bed and I'll check emails and look at Facebook until I know I need to get up and start getting work done. So when I get out of bed, generally around 8:10, 8:15, go inside, hygiene stuff, do a morning weigh-in, take vitamins, and then I record the news. I edit the news, I upload the news, I promote the newscast all on social media, and then I start making phone calls, doing affiliate relations for Free Talk Live. And that's Monday through Friday when I do the affiliate relations. In the studio making calls until 1 o'clock. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I start preparing for this program. And then I record this program. And then I upload this program. And then I promote the program on various social media outlets. And then I'll have a couple hours of, quote-unquote free time before being on Free Talk Live at 7 o'clock. And, that will vary what I do in that time, but I've got that morning routine. And actually, it's, a most of the day routine to where that varies as little as possible. And, I've noticed that it does allow me somewhat to be more productive. I'll finish this and more when we come back on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
So there's a little bit more written here about the managing your mood that I will not delve into. But again, I always post the links in the show notes. And I mentioned part of my morning routine is when I wake up, I'll always grab my phone, check my emails. I know I should not do it. And it is in direct conflict with number 2 on the list. Number 1 is manage your mood. Number 2, and again, these are 6 subtle things that highly productive people do every day. Number 1, they manage their mood at the beginning of the day. Tim Ferriss says the first 80 to 90 minutes should vary as little as possible, meaning you should basically have the same morning routine every day for the first hour and a half of your day. Should not change unless absolutely necessary. Number 2 on the list, don't check emails in the morning. To some people, this is utter heresy. Many people cannot imagine waking up and immediately checking email or social media feeds. The author of the article says, I've interviewed a number of very productive people and nobody says, spend more time with email. Why is checking email in the morning a cardinal sin? You're setting yourself up to react. An email comes in and suddenly you're giving your best hours to someone else's goals, not yours. You're not planning your day and prioritizing. You're letting your objectives be hijacked by whoever randomly decides to enter your inbox. Here's what Tim Ferriss says. Whenever possible, do not check email for the first hour or two of the day. It's difficult for some people to imagine, how can I do that? I need to check email to get the information I need to work on my most important one or two to-dos. You would be surprised how often that is not the case. You might need to get into your email to finish 100% of your most important to-dos, but you can get 90% done before you go into your Gmail and have your rat brain explode with freak-out, dopamine excitement, and cortisol panic? Yes. Research shows that email stresses you out, can turn you into a jerk, can be more addictive than alcohol and tobacco, and checking email frequently is the equivalent of dropping your IQ 10 points. Is this really how you want to start your day? So now I believe that I will wind up trying to not check my email in the morning, because apparently checking email early in the morning makes you stupid. Number 3 on the 6 subtle things that productive people do every day. Before you try to do it faster, ask whether it needs to be done at all. Everyone asks the question, why is it so impossible to get everything done? But the answer is stunningly easy. You're doing too many things. Want to be more productive? Don't ask how to make something more efficient until you've asked the question, do I need to do this at all? Tim Ferriss, again, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, says doing something well does not make it important. I think this is one of the most common problems with a lot of time management or productivity advice. They focus on how to do things quickly. The vast majority of things that people do quickly should not be done at all. It's funny that we complain we have so little time, and then we prioritize the time we prioritize like time is endless. Instead, do what is important and not much else. But is it true in the real world? Research shows CEOs get more done by don't get more done by blindly working more hours. They get more done when they follow a careful plan. Preliminary analysis from CEOs in India found that a firm's sales increased as the CEO worked more hours, but more intriguingly, the correlation between the CEO time use and output was driven entirely by hours spent in planned activities. Planning does not have to mean that the hours are spent in meetings, though meetings with employees were correlated with higher sales. It's just that CEO time is a limited and valuable resource, and planning how it should be associated increases the chances that it's spent in productive ways. And then they say, for more ways to save time, go here, and they link over to something. Again, I'll post this blog post from Business Insider in the show notes, and then you can follow any of the links that you choose. The segment here, or section, continues. It says, okay, we've cleared the decks, your head is serene, and you've gotten the email monkey off your back, and you know what you need to do. Now we have to face one of the biggest problems of the modern era. How do you sit still and focus? Number 4 on the list, focus is nothing more than eliminating distractions. Ed Hallowell, former professor at Harvard Medical School and best-selling author of Driven to Distraction, says we have culturally generated ADD. Has modern life permanently damaged our attention spans? No, what you have is more tantalizing, easily accessible, shiny things available to you 24/7 than any human being has ever had. The answer is to lock yourself somewhere to make all the flashing, buzzing distractions go away. There's advice from Tim Ferriss. And again, I will post this link in the show notes. And I will jump to number 5. Have a personal system. The author says, I've spoken to a lot of insanely productive people. You know what none of them have ever said? I don't know how I get stuff done. I just wing it and hope for the best. Not one. Your routine can be formal and scientific or personal and idiosyncratic, but either way, productive people have a routine. There's more.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Going over the 6 things that highly productive people do every day. Article from Business Insider, the 6 things from Tim Ferriss, the creator of the 4-Hour Workweek. Here they are. 1 through 5, and then I'll give you number 6 at the end. Number 1, manage your mood. Number 2, don't check emails in the morning. Darryl, that's something you need to make sure you don't do. Don't check the emails early in the morning. Number 3, before you try to do it faster, ask whether it should be done at all. Number 4, focus is nothing more than eliminating distractions. Number 5, have a personal system, i.e. have a schedule of some sort, be organized. And I was going over that here. The author says, do you know how many people that are insanely productive have ever said, I don't know how I get stuff done. I just wing it and hope for the best. He says, not one. Your routines can be formal and scientific or personal and idiosyncratic, but either way, productive people have a routine. And I went briefly over my routine. No need to do that again. And there's some questions that he has in here that I will, again, post the link in the show notes. You can read the full thing for yourself. Number 6, define your goals the night before. Wake up knowing what is important before the day's pseudo-emergencies come barging into your life and your inbox screams new commands. Tim Ferriss says, define your 1 or 2 most important to-dos before dinner the day before. Best-selling author Dan Pink gives similar advice. He says, establish a closing ritual. Know when to stop working. Try to end each workday the same way as well. Straighten up your desk. Back up your computer. Make a list of what you need to do tomorrow. Research says you're more likely to follow through if you're specific and if you write your goals down. Studies show this is a secondary benefit. Writing down what you need to do tomorrow relieves anxiety and helps you enjoy your evening. And again, they link over to something on more information on setting and achieving goals. And let me jump down here to their conclusion. They say the word productivity sounds like we're talking about machines, but the funny thing is that much of being truly good with time is about feelings. How should you strive to feel when working? Busy, not rushed. Research shows this is when people are happiest. Again, there's more in the show or in the article. It will be in the show notes. And don't forget, every Wednesday, I answer your questions. Send those over AMA@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copyheart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas, which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.